Robschild. Nothing I say is investment advice. Welcome to the show where we look at financial markets through crystal ball gazing. As J.P. Morgan once said, millionaires don't need astrologers, but billionaires do. And so we begin. Today, on Thursday, January 18th, 2024, the most notable thing going on is probably Bitcoin finally breaking down. It looks quite bearish, and if you've been following the channel, you know that this was seen very clearly in the crystal ball. The great seance Gareth Soloway also had predicted this, the target being 26,000. And with that, the more people that know about that target, the less likely we are to get to it. So, my crystal ball tells me 30,000 is a good target on that from a personal standpoint. So the S&P 500, again, we're just wiggling up there. Looks like we're knocking on the door of the all-time high still. Overall, markets are very greedy. VIX is kind of consolidating a little, preparing to pop or drop, depending on especially the PCE data coming out tomorrow. Other notable things going on, the 30-year bond, as was seen in my crystal ball yesterday. I said the target was 4.4%, and it actually got up to 4.39%, and so that was a spot-on prediction. Good job, crystal ball. You got that one right. Overall, the pattern looks bullish, but we also could stop here. Again, generally what's going on is the markets are preparing to unveil the truth behind tomorrow's data to see what's happening, and then also how the market will react to that news, of course. 10-year note, same kind of thing going on as the 30-year. We have a pretty major trend line that we're hitting. However, it's in a bullish pattern. But again, this is one of those areas that we could see yields spike. We could see yields collapse tomorrow. We could see yields go nowhere and digest this information. Maybe nothing comes to light through the fog from tomorrow's data. But markets are certainly prepared to move either direction. The bears and the bulls have met in the middle, and they are ready to see what happens next. Initial jobless claims was reported today. There was a surprise to the downside. It seems like less people are losing jobs than was expected. This is bullish for markets. However, nothing really changed in the Fed fund futures, which was a little surprise to me. I would expect something like that to show maybe a little bit more hawkishness coming forward, but we didn't see anything like that. It looks like Taiwan semiconductors had a big pop today, putting the whole semiconductor industry at, once again, pretty close to all-time highs, if not all-time highs. This looks in my crystal ball to be a potentially great place to get into shorting semiconductors. Specifically for retailers, an easy fund to do that with is SOXS. It's in a buyable range right now in my, according to my crystal ball reading. And so that's about it. We have generally the market's just kind of waiting to see what happens Friday, to see if we can break through this S&P 500 top. I mean, I imagine if the data's I imagine actually, if I look deep into my crystal ball, that the S&P 500 will break to new highs for several reasons. We're in a space where the bad news is good news, but good news isn't scaring the market off that much because it's not good enough news. We don't have news that's kind of showing that inflation is really going to be taking off to the upside again from here. All the data, even when it seems strong, it's still showing enough weakness that that sort of, good news, we don't believe good news to be good enough, and bad news is still good news, which leads to strengthening of the position that the Fed will be cutting rates throughout this year, starting in the May meeting, I believe. And that's all there is for today. There's nothing else of that much interest in my crystal ball. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Robschild.